let's talk about those Raiders and what I just talked about, maybe, and where does this franchise stand? Not only heading into this game, but in general. So I don't want to make too much of it at this point. This is a task at hand for the Raiders here in a game that maybe they think they have a chance to win. The Raiders have won 3 games. They were 3-5. It really doesn't look to be. I know, like I said, I made some comments last week. They were off the cuff. They were comedy, and maybe my dry delivery, can fool some people. But the Raiders to be 3-5 and look to make a change at head coach, short week like they did. Yeah, it was embarrassing to lose like that, and maybe they thought, and you know, there's certainly talked about why it happened, right? 3 team leaders go in and basically say that, to the owner, maybe something to the effect of, this guy's maybe not as professional as we are, right? Or as we're expecting here. So um, everybody's got their right, but let's just talk about it. This is a short week for Raiders. They've lost 5 of their last 7 games, actually, so that has to contribute to it as well. They're not running the ball very well. They're poor on third down, and to top it all off, they've benched a veteran quarterback with one of the top winning percentages in all the league, no doubt about it. No matter if he has lost more than he's won over the last, a dozen or so games. Still, if you look at the win loss records of quarterbacks, the most important criteria in my mind, that better, more important than QBR, more important than completion percentage, yardage, whatever, wins. And Jimmy G is always stacked up in that category. Maybe he's getting exploited a little bit here with a team that isn't as good, but definitely has the experience. He just looked so bad last week that a new coach comes in, and then boom, all of a sudden, we're going to make a change and put in a quarterback with really not only no experience, but not a lot of um, hype or, touting O'Connell. Other than, yes, he had college success. And we've seen him before as well. But here you got at least a little sidebar with Antonio Pierce coaching the Raiders now. And he was, of course, on some of those Giants teams that were really good, really good. You guys got some comments here on this one. Take a look. So I'm going to throw a dart here, you guys, and it was Rice, right? We kind of hit it, didn't we? I know the game had already kicked off, but I guess my quote was, "I'm going to look for some of that." What was that quote? Just moments before kickoff. That's not a very good uh, YouTube tout. Well, I would look for some of those. Oh, I didn't say Rice, did I? I think Rice got the touchdown. Oh, joke's on me. I was trying to get some of those non Kelsey, non Pacheco, non Valdez Scantling touchdowns, and I might have missed Rice actually. Yeah. Well, right, Brent, but now the pressure's on. There's no pressure on a guy like Antonio Pierce, right? He's in a no lose situation here, and he'd like to, I'm sure, have this job. But look at Antonio Pierce's resume. No, nothing wrong. I mean, he was a great NFL player, but there's nothing really that would indicate Pierce is. I don't want to say it. I mean, I'm just some guy on YouTube watching talking to you guys. But Pierce went from uh, basically he went coached in high school ball, and one of the most successful teams ended up having their worst season in 38 years. They got a job as a linebackers coach with Arizona State, right? And hey, you do a good job. Look, there was some very influential coaches at Arizona State over the last several years, so he probably did a good job. He worked his way up into some other roles there as well, and then got a job after some personnel changes. I think at ASU, got a job with the Raiders and doing a good job. So you're an NFL, position coach, so you could end up being, especially if you're a players coach type thing, you need a temporary replacement, interim, whatever you have, but could be overmatched. You got assistants and everything, but you also fired the offensive uh, guy last week as well. You know, His dad's on a gambling network, on a gambling show too, talking handicapping, and uh, basically blew it off, saying, "Hey, it's a business." All right, you guys, we could talk about the games here all day, but in this one, look, the Raiders better win this one at home. They got a new coach. I really don't trust the Giants. The You do have Danny Dimes back. Is that a good thing or a bad thing, right? At least the one thing you have here with the Raiders is probably a little bit of ability to play defense against these guys. You see, man, the uh, Dolphins running the wrong way, huh? Yeah, Pierce was a beast when he played. So, but he's in here, right? In right now, what certainly has to be considered an interim role as head coach. So, but the Raiders are going to feel the pressure. I don't necessarily have a problem with O'Connell, and Jones will be back. Maybe just giving a little bit of time that'll work out. But I would think the Raiders would have answers for Joe. If I'm the Giants, pardon me, uh, I run the ball. I mean, the Raiders are terrible at stopping the run, and I've got Barkley. Um, I give the ball to Matt Breida a little bit. Barkley, don't kill this guy out there. Thank you, M. Looks. So Raiders also should run the ball. Look, O'Connell's not in a great position here against the Giants, and neither is a guy like Hunter Renfro. But I would think the Raider, I think the Giants will have enough issues getting their passing game off. Crosby's playing really obviously out of his mind, and we know the one thing about the Giants that's been a total disaster has been their offensive line. So I hope Danny Jones doesn't get killed out there in this game, but I feel like the Raiders are going to be in the backfield all day long. And that total is it still 37 and a half? Look, I don't want to give away the products here, but um, how are they going to get that many points in a game like this? The way things are going in the NFL, the way things are going in this game. You got O'Connell. Look, we've seen O'Connell out there a little bit, but it's still, I think, his first start. And Jones is, making the return here. So um, here's one stat. I'm not giving away the product. I need some say. Please, you guys, please pick up my package today and support me. That's all. Uh, Listen to this. In these non-conference games, okay, NFC at AFC specifically, on non-conference games in general, I'm bringing here more under trends from your under guy. Don't get mad when I end up on an over here again. Hey, S. Warrior, how you doing? Nice to have you here. So, yeah, we just talked about it. Just back it up just a little bit, sir, and I have that preview just moments ago. One more stat for you before we move on. Okay, so uh, AFC home favorites of 6 points or less in a non-conference game are 27 unders and 8 overs over the last 4 years. 77% of the under when the AFC hosts as a 3-point favorite or less. Just like you see right here, the under has gone 27 unders, 8 overs, 2 pushes, just to be fair. But that's still 77% over the last 4 years. 4 years. What do you want? We're out of the pandemic, basically, current day football, where unders rule, right? With me, you want to, let me take it up a notch. When, this one didn't qualify. What's the total? All right. I do have a couple qualifiers on this. I don't think this one did fall out, right? Oh, okay, it opened 40 and a half. So I can't throw in the next stat, but let me throw in this for you because there is another game in the morning game, uh, a couple of them actually. And they would be, I believe, let me see, Cardinals and Browns. This one it barely qualifies right now, but let me just, that stat, that 77% stat, I'm going to take it up just a notch, specifically for this game, maybe right here between the Seahawks and the Ravens. We talked about the game earlier this week. I know I'm on the Raiders here, but this stat pertains a little bit. Uh, so when the when the AFC team is at home and the spread is less than 6 points and the over under is between 38, this game doesn't qualify, but 38 and 48 points, the under is 20 unders, 3 overs, and 1 push over the last 4 years. That's 24 game sample size. And this one falls into it right here between today, the Seahawks and the Ravens. AFC team at home, non conference game, total between. This isn't some random, I mean, there is some specifics to a trend like this, right? And some people say, when you talk about specific trends, right? No, this isn't some randomish thing, right? This is more league wide interconference game. You're required to play these games. You play four every year, right, against an opposing division. So 20 unders, 3 overs, 1 push. 20 unders in 4 games, with the AFC team favorite at home by 3 points or less, and a total of 38 to 48. Okay. Anyways, I'm taking the Raiders because what I just said. Danny Dimes, please. I hope you survive today. The Giants. They've gotten a little bit better, but do you remember why Danny? I remember he got hurt. The offensive line was a disaster, and then they, repaired it a little bit. But then the next game, it started to break down a little bit again with another guy had gone out, shifting guys. That's where the Giants have had their biggest issues this year, and you have right now one of the biggest menaces in the league, and I mean that in an endearing way, in Max Crosby.